Continue. Okay. Well, so I can, well, if, in case you haven't noticed, I've been posting the lessons every day. Okay, the videos. All right, so people out in Zoom land, can you see my screen? Give me a thumbs up, Ava, with your dog.
I can see.
Okay, I think you're gonna have to get your dog off your lap because we're gonna be doing work. Just saying. All right. So people out in Zoom land, I need you to do a couple of things. If you go to Google Classroom and go to the stream. Okay, if you go to the stream, the first thing posted in the stream says new assignment 11 claim evidence paragraph. I need you to open that up. It will look something like this. The other thing I need you to open up, if you scroll down past Zoom, you'll see the 11 text. We really don't need to open that today unless we run into some problems. But then you'll see the claim evidence paragraph graphic organizer. Okay, I need you to open that and split your screen. So your screen will look something like this. Now, somebody in my first period class told me that you can actually split your screen 3 ways so that you could see my Zoom, okay? So I'm gonna pretend like this where it told me to launch my meeting. I'm gonna take this tab and I'm just gonna move it over here, and then you can move the Zoom around. We are learning as we go, folks. Did anybody know that already? You did? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, but that might make it easier for you to switch back and forth among the 3 screens. You know, if you're in the room, obviously you're not Zooming, so you don't need to have 3 screens because you have my screen in front of you. So you use 2 computers? Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm doing. I have my Zoom here, right? So yes, I find it complicated and we need to find ways to make this work for each of us. All right, so I actually on my screen, I'm going to open up the graphic organizer all the way. So if you want to do that on your screen, we can do that. I'm just going to review. All week we have been working with the story 11, and we are talking about symbolism. If you're in the room, could you turn your screen away from you because you're all clicking and not paying attention. Thank you, Lizzie. You did that without me having to say that. If you're in the room, please turn your screen away from you. Thank you kindly. Good job. All right. So, all right. So we have been working with, you know, teasing out what we have to do in this task about symbolism in this big, long question, right? We have worked with the text and we have filled in the graphic organizer. Let me just see here. Okay. So we have a graphic organizer all the way filled in, which is awesome. So we did a claim statement where we answered the question. The central symbol in 11 by Sandra Sinaris is the red sweater. The symbol stands for Rachel's Unhappiness. We were little detectives. We went and we found a detail from the text and we quoted it. And you guys were really good because we actually already have a transition written here, which is awesome. And then we have analysis or detail of that first quote that we used. Okay, so that's the hardest part for 6th graders, and I'm going to get back to that. We went back and we were detectives again. This time we didn't write a transition, so I know we're going to have to tweak that when we do our paragraph. Okay, and then we have analysis, and nobody in the room, including Mrs. Jost, figured out that there was a typo in the analysis box. It says explanation of detail number 1, and it should say number 2. Okay, so we explained it here. And then we wrote a conclusion. Okay. You have to fix that number 2. You could fix that when I have you turn your screen around. All right. So here's the thing. 6th graders, I think, and I may have said this before, but 6th graders struggle with the analysis step. I don't know if it's because of the word analysis or what. All you're doing with the analysis is you are just explaining why you chose the text evidence that you chose and how it proves your claim statement, okay? And kids in 6th grade tend to fall down on that. You know why, I think? This is my opinion. It's because there's no answer in the book for that. It has to come from your head. It's like connecting dots. So you have to connect all the dots among the steps, right? So you have to connect the quote that you're using and how that proves your answer. And that takes some thought, okay? And we'll get there. All right, so the next thing we're gonna do, the good news, children, you're gonna love this, is every year except for this one, kids not only had to handwrite the graphic organizer, but then they had to go and handwrite the paragraph. You guys can simply, like Anthony said, ooh, can we copy and paste? Yeah, why make our lives worse than it is? Okay, so what I want to do first, and I don't know if we did this in here yesterday because all of my classes are in a different part. Did we even look at this document yet? We did. Okay.
Yeah,
So
we did.
what did we discover about this document? Let me see if I can get my Zoomers in there. Any Zoomers want to tell me what we discovered? Ava, go ahead.
It's exactly the same.
Yeah, so the directions are exactly the same as what was on the graphic organizer. When I do that, I usually set it up that way, okay? If you notice, and I'm just gonna like select this for a second to highlight it, the steps to write the paragraph are right here, and I still have them color coded for you. These steps here match the boxes on the graphic organizer, okay? It's just smaller and the boxes aren't there. But this is just a reminder of what you have to do when, right? The steps that you have to take. Some of you at some point in the year won't need the graphic organizer. Some of you will need the graphic organizer all year, and that's okay, okay? Like it just depends on where you are and how you think. Mrs. Jost never used a graphic organizer in her life until she became a teacher and had to teach them. I was not trained that way. It was always like, write your darn paragraph. Right? Like we didn't have an, like we just never used them when I was a kid, but that was ancient history. So, but I just want to point out that those steps are there for you. Okay. So what I want everybody to do, and I need you to watch my screen. You guys can turn your screen around. If you want for the moment, make your paragraph document your full screen. Okay. Could everybody kindly take your cursor and put it at the end of the last concluding sentence like I have. You guys at home do this too. Okay. What I want you to do once your cursor is right here, I want you to hit enter. And you will notice that your font is blue and that it is in the center of the page, the cursor. Okay. When you actually hit enter again, let's give us 2 spaces there. Okay. When you write a paragraph, you can't start in the middle of the page. So I know some of you don't know this, but let me just show you something. You see the toolbar up here? Okay. Do you see this section over here? Can you guys see my cursor? My cursor doesn't show up, or my arrow doesn't show up here. Okay, but do you see where I am right now? Okay, so you have these things: left alignment, center alignment, right alignment, justify, okay? So what this is it sets your page up. It's called justification, big long word, okay? When you are writing a paragraph or any regular paper for school, you should be clicked on left alignment. So everybody click on that and watch what happens with your cursor. It moves to the left side of the page. That is where you need to start writing your paragraph, okay? Because paragraphs need to be indented, right? Okay, does anybody, so we're all set? Everybody's got our cursor there? Does anybody remember how to properly indent a paragraph on the computer? Kylie, you hit the tab key 1 time. Okay, so that's how you set the page up, all right? Now we're just gonna like copy and paste our ideas from the graphic organizer, and then we're gonna clean up our thing. So I'm gonna go back to splitting my screen. And for right now, I'm going to make my graphic organizer bigger. I'm going to go to my claim statement, focus statement, and I'm going to select the text that we wrote. Okay, now there's a couple of ways to copy once you select it. You have to select it. You could go up to edit and you can copy. If you're using, well, if you're not using a mouse and you don't want to do that, you can hit Control C and that will copy it. Or if you have a mouse, you can just right click, copy. Everybody good? Okay, that will hold that text on your clipboard. Did we do that? Rashim, you good? Why are you looking for it? You should have had it open. That was the first direction. You don't need the 11 text. You need the graphic organizer. Look at my screen. I am in the graphic organizer. Okay, I gotta go help Rashim so we can move on. He's a little confused.
I only had enough time to type that.
Okay, what are you doing, dude? Why didn't you have this open already? That's what you were supposed to be doing. Okay, so now you're going to select this text that you did.
Sounded like a dying dog.
Okay, so. Whoops. All right, so. Once you have copied that onto your clipboard, you're going to switch back over to your paragraph. You're going to, oh, what the heck happened? Something went wacky there. So you got to pay attention. So I think I'm on left justification. I think that's indented. So now I'm just going to paste it. So if you have a mouse, you can right click and hit paste. You could edit, click down edit and paste, or the keyboard is Control V as in Victor. I need the claim statement. Hold on, let me check. Somebody's saying, no, I copied the claim statement. The central symbol in 11 is Sanders and arrows. The symbol stands for happiness. Okay, so just to make sure, and that's good because you don't want it to be all messed up. So I'm in my claim statement box. I selected it, I copied it. I went over here and I'm starting my paragraph without those two sentences. Yes? Okay, you can color yours blue. If it comes in colored blue, that's okay. We're going to clean it up all at the end. Yeah.
My claim statement thing, it says the unhappiness and stuff, but after it says all of a sudden I'm crying in front of everybody.
Yeah, because you were in the wrong box yesterday, remember? And I thought we fixed that. So you're going to have to work twice as hard as everybody else because you didn't follow directions the other day. No, don't be sorry. I'm just saying you're going to have to work twice. You know what I mean? You're going to have to clean that up. You might already have that. I don't know. Okay. So yeah, if you copied stuff in the wrong box, you're going to have to pay attention to that, you know? All right. So the next thing we have to do, so that's our claim statement, right? What's the next thing we have to copy and paste? Okay. So before we do that, I don't know if you guys just noticed, but my cursor, when I stopped pasting, was right after the period. Every period needs a space after it. So I'm going to put my space there and leave my cursor there. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my graphic organizer. Please stay with me. Don't fall asleep on me. I'm going to click out of my claim statement box and I'm going to go to my detail number 1. Detail number 1 reads, when Mrs. Price put the sweater on Rachel, Rachel thinks all of a sudden I'm crying in front of everybody. I wish I was invisible, but I'm not. So make sure you got that. And again, I'm going to select it and I'm going to copy it. Whichever way you did before, copy it again that way. And I'm going to come back to my paragraph doc. I'm going to make sure my cursor's in the right spot. I'm going to paste my next sentence. Why are you guys typing?
Because it's fun.
What are you typing? Let me ask that.
I am typing fun.
Why? You should have it in your graphic organizer already. Okay, but we're not going to wait for you to type it. We did that yesterday. Okay, one of the things that I do whenever I write anything, even if I'm writing a card to somebody and I'm writing a paragraph or two, like whatever, even if I'm writing a short note in a card, I proofread it like a couple times as I'm writing it. So I'm going to take a minute and make sure that so far we're good. The central symbol in 11 by Sanderson Harris is the red sweater. The symbol stands for Rachel's unhappiness. When Mrs. Price makes Rachel put the sweater on, Rachel thinks, all of a sudden, I'm crying in front of everybody. I wish I was invisible, but I'm not, which is good. What's my next step, Brody? Analysis. Okay. So again, do you see where my cursor is right after the last quotation mark? I'm going to set myself up and put a space between that. So when I come over and paste my next sentence, it'll be in the right spot. Okay. If they're colored, that's okay for now. Okay. All right. So the next thing I have to do is go down to my analysis of quote number 1. So I'm going to select, copy, move back over. This is so easy, children. You don't have to write it all over and not whine at me. And paste. And then right away, I got a period and my cursor's right after that. I'm going to hit the space bar. That's okay. I don't need to keep hearing that they're all different colors for the 4th time. We're going to clean that up when we're done. Okay? All right, thank you. All right, so somebody in Zoom land, tell me, Cole, how about you, buddy? Could you tell me what our next step is? What do we got to go grab next?
So now we have our detail 2.
Detail 2, very good. So let's go get it. All righty. Do I need to say it when I'm doing it this time? Or are we good? Okay. Oh dear, look at what happened on my screen. That's going to have to get cleaned up, but we're going to leave it there for now. All right. I'm going to hit my space bar so that when I go and grab the next step. Owen, could you tell me what I'm going to go and grab next?
The analyze detail number 2.
Good, you guys are with me. Hallelujah. Awesome. I'm very impressed that you guys can do this from far away. I really do. I think that to me, this is a nightmare doing it this way, but you guys are hanging in there with me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. This is not easy. So we're copying our second detail from the graphic organizer.
Oh, mine did the same thing.
Okay, we're gonna fix that in a little bit. Then we're going to paste it into our paragraph. Space after our period. And the last thing we need to do is what?
I just realized this is not fully typed.
Oh, you're gonna have to catch up when we can, but could you answer my question? What's the next thing we need to do? Copy and paste what? I was asking the person behind you, chatterbox. Okay, so we're going to copy and paste our concluding sentence, okay? If you didn't finish copying, uh-oh, what just happened there? Okay. All right. So you have to pay attention to what's going on your screen. Like just now, something else popped up into that box and I don't know why. So all as I did was I hit this little back button over here, undo, to get me to where I needed to be. And I just started over again. You kind of have to be aware of what's going on the screen and the page because sometimes computers are crazy. I'm not going to say sometimes, I'm going to say all the time. All right. So then I'm just going to paste my last sentence there. Okay, so I'm going to actually zoom out a little bit on this because I want to just look at the paragraph and I don't even want to look at what it's saying. I want to look at the paragraph physically on the page and make sure it's a paragraph. And right away, I can see that there's something wrong with this paragraph because when I copied and pasted something, it left this big space in this line, right? Huh? Well, that's not an indent. That's just a blank space. So I think, and I don't know, but I think that if I put my cursor at the beginning of the next line where it starts with the word inside on my screen, your screen might be different. I'm just going to put my cursor there and hit backspace. And then I'm going to hit the space again. And then look, I have to keep doing it until the format of the paragraph is correct. There. Ah, now I have a paragraph. Okay. So I like my children, my students, and all of a sudden I'm back on center justification. I have no idea why. I like my students, and you don't have to write this right now. I'm just going to do it. I like you to proofread, and I like you to proofread more than once. Okay, so I'm just gonna make a list. Oops. Okay, 1, I'm gonna proofread for meaning, and that's a big one. Okay, 2, I'm gonna proofread for caps and spelling. 3, I'm gonna proofread for punctuation. Okay. So first and foremost, I'm gonna read through my paragraph and make sure it makes sense. Okay, so my paragraph reads, the central symbol in 11 by Sandra Cisneros is the red sweater. The symbol stands for Rachel's unhappiness. When Mrs. Price makes Rachel put the sweater on, Rachel thinks, all of a sudden I'm crying in front of everybody. I wish I was invisible, but I'm not. Oh, there's a problem there, but I'll come back to it. The fact that Rachel begins to cry in front of the class shows just how sad she is in that moment. This is when I wish I wasn't 11, because all the years inside of me, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, are all pushing at the back of my eyes. Cisneros uses this phrase several times to show the reader just how unhappy Rachel is feeling on her birthday. Rachel feels like she should be able to speak up for herself, but can't. She's feeling much younger than her 11 years. These examples show how Sandra Cisneros uses the red sweater as a symbol for Rachel's sadness in the story 11. What are you typing? Okay, are you paying attention to the lesson at hand? If you are typing right now, you're not paying attention to what Mrs. Jost is trying to teach you. First step is read for meaning. And that's what I just did. So there's a problem. Does anybody know what we didn't do here? We didn't do one thing. This is a pretty darn good paragraph, but we missed something. Does anybody know what we missed? Let me call your attention to our second quote. Do I have a transition leading into the second quote? I do not. Do I need one? Yes, I do. So I think an easy way to figure out transitions. Somebody went crazy over there in Zoom land, is to sort of write about what's going on. What's happening when Rachel starts to cry? Rasheen, what'd you say? Yes, but what is making her cry and feel that way? What happened in the story? Mrs. Price makes her put on the sweater. Could we use that? Right? We didn't use that. Oh, no, we did use that before. Okay. So maybe we could say, because we did use that in the first quote, when Mrs. Price makes Rachel put the sweater on, Rachel thinks. So this is just a continuation of her thinking, isn't it? Could we say that? Could we just say Rachel continues to feel or Rachel continues to think? Blah, 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 blah. Would that make sense? Yes, no, maybe? Yes. Okay, so let's put that. So my cursor is right before the second quotation. Does everybody see where I am? Okay, so we're just going to write Rachel continues, and I'm going to use the word feel, and I'll tell you why in a second. Continues to feel, comma. The reason why I use the word feel instead of thinks is because our whole point is that she's unhappy, and that's a feeling. Right? Okay. So I proofread for meaning. The second thing I need to do is check for caps and spelling. Okay? So my first clue would be if I had any squiggly lines, red or blue, underneath any of the words, and I don't. So I'm thinking, I did a pretty good job, but I still should do a spell check, yes? Okay, so I'm gonna go up to tools, and I'm gonna go to spell grammar check, spelling and grammar check, and Control-Alt-X is the shortcut key, but we did a nice job. The thing about spell check is if you use a real word, but you use it wrong in the sentence, it's not going to pick it up. Sometimes you have to be smarter than the computer. Okay? All right. So caps and spelling. So I want to make sure, and sixth graders, I don't know what the problem is, especially when you're typing, it's, you hold the shift key down and you hit the key instead of just the key. You have to have capital letters at the beginning of every sentence. So I'm going to look wherever I have a period, make sure the next word has a capital letter. Blah, 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 blah. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take my time. I did see something that I capitalized that shouldn't have been capitalized before. Oh, here we go. Right here. I wish I was invisible. I have no idea why I capitalized invisible. So I'm going to backspace that and fix it, because that should not be capitalized. Okay. I did. I have no idea why. Okay. So, guys, I cannot tell you how important it is to start your sentences with capital letters. And also every stinking time you write the word I, you have to capitalize it. You have to. It's the rule. It's the accepted way of doing it. We are not texting our friends, our parents, or our grandma. We are writing a formal piece of writing for school. You want to look and sound as intelligent as possible. Yes? Okay. And then punctuation. So I just want to point out some punctuation. Do you see where we say Rachel thinks, comma, space, quotation mark, dot, dot, dot? Whenever you have a quote from a text and you have some sort of transition going into it, it needs to be separated with a comma. Okay, I did it here, so make sure you did it. I did it here. Rachel continues to feel, comma. Okay, the other thing I'll point out, I have a apostrophe for Rachel's sadness, right? In both places. And then over here, this is one of the exceptions to the rules with quotations. If you notice right here, I have the period outside of the ending quotation. Why? Because 11 is a title of a story. Okay. All right. So I think we look pretty good. Now, I want to just highlight the transitions that we used. And I'm going to do this for a reason. All right. So we wrote some really nice transitions, I think. So just give me a second to highlight these. And oh, wait a minute. Let me do that again. Okay. So if I then read this paragraph without these transitions that we added in, we're typing again. I don't know why we're typing. Okay, if I read the paragraph, and if you're in the room, turn your screen away. Because you don't get my hint when I say stop typing, you keep typing. Grr. Okay, if I read the paragraph, right, without the transitions, it's going to sound like this. And you tell me if it sounds as good and if it makes as much sense. The central symbol in 11 by Sandra Cisneros is the red sweater. The symbol stands for Rachel's unhappiness. All of a sudden, I'm crying in front of everybody. I wish it was invisible, but I'm not. Oh, wait, I forgot to highlight something. Rachel begins to cry in front of the class, shows just how sad she is in that moment. This is when I wish I was an 11 because all the years inside of me, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1 are all pushing into the back of my eyes. how unhappy Rachel is feeling on her birthday. Rachel feels like she should be able to speak up for herself, but can't. She's feeling much younger than her 11 years. Uses the red sweater as a symbol for Rachel's sadness in the story 11. Does that make sense? No. So we're just discussing right now. Okay. So the thing is that if you don't have, look at how much is highlighted. That's a lot. It's like a third of the paragraph. Transitions are very important. They lead your reader from one step to the next. Anybody should be able to come in and read your paragraph and know what the heck you're talking about. Mr. Stahl or Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Trice, Mrs. Zavadil, they should be able to come in and read your paragraphs from my class and say, oh, that's really good. What happened in that story? This little girl had this sweater. She had a bad day. It was her birthday, whatever. She was feeling sad. Like they should know because your writing is that clear. Okay. So I'm going to unhighlight all of this. And then what I want to do is I want to just show you how to, actually I could select all and do it a little faster. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure that everybody has their paragraph all the same color, all the same font, because we were copying and pasting. In this class, I don't think we copied and pasted with Cami. We'll do that next week. But okay, so look, I'm going to highlight my paragraph, the whole thing. I'm going to make sure it's all Arial because that's where I started. I'm going to make sure it's all 14 font and that is bold and that is black. If you use blue, that's fine. Okay. Yes, sir.
I don't have down the transition. That's what I was typing.
Okay, but Mrs. Jost is trying to teach you how to do something right now. So if you're typing, do you think you're hearing what I'm saying? Okay, so I need you focused on this right now. So if you need to go back, you can turn your screens around. If you guys in the room need to go back and fix those transitions and put those transitions in, then do that. If you guys at home, let me just do a check. Are you guys at home good? I can leave this up.
Yep.
Okay. What I'm going to do is at the end of the day, I'm going to post this as an example paragraph and the graphic organizer as an example graphic organizer so that you can refer to them if you need to. Okay. Next week, we're going to read a different story. It usually takes about 1.5 periods to read the story. And then you are going to do the exact same question with a different story and a different symbol and different meaning, but you're going to do the exact same thing that we did this week together. Okay, so you're going to have a graphic organizer, you're going to have a paragraph to write. Questions, problems, issues?
Nope.
Who's talking to me from Zoom land?
Owen.
Okay, hold on. Let me turn the sound up because I can barely hear you. Okay, Owen, talk to me now.
I just said no.
Okay, so you're all set?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are in Zoom land and you don't have any questions for me, you can zoom out because we're going to be leaving here in a minute anyway. Am I taking you people anyplace?
No.
No, you're staying here. Oh, it's A day. I get my room this period. I like when I have my room. All right, Ava, you good? Okay.
Bye.
I just like being able to do my work in my room.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good weekend. See you next week. My room's pretty cold usually. All right, questions in the room. We good? If you want to turn it in, you may turn it in. I know that makes it easier on